Peeps, I've got some news and some info for you. I spoke with my YouTube rep today about the FTC stuff and got some clarification on it. So anything that I'm about to say, bit of a disclaimer, isn't the words of the YouTube rep. It is me recycling and regurgitating from memory in my mind what we discussed. So these are my words, not theirs. I just don't want to put my YouTube rep in any kind of trouble over anything I say because the dude's awesome and has been very helpful. Anyway, so we did a video about FTC, or I say a video, it was a live stream. It was a video on xisumasays, and we talked about the FTC changes when we first learned about them, speculated a little bit. Since then, I have been seeing some what I call scaremongering type of videos, right? These are people who make YouTube videos about YouTube. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure some of you know some of the channels where they teach you how to grow and how to do all the YouTube stuff, and they've been really kind of scaremongering on this whole FTC deal as if it's going to break YouTube and change everything. And I got to speak to my rep and express some of their concerns and clarify things, and it sounds really quite reasonable after speaking to them. So the deal is that there is this number or age going around with the FTC, which is 12 to 13, right? That's what YouTube have gotten in trouble for, is collecting data on people of the age of 12 to 13. Now, the changes that are coming to YouTube are that they're not going to be able to have the same sort of advertising practice on content that is for children. So, the content that's for children is going to have to change monetarily in a big way because, you know, the whole game's going to change and the money's going to shift around, and these content creators that create kids content may have their income just zapped away. And that is why YouTube are investing, I think it was like 30 million in their kids platform. You know, that is to keep those creators creating content, and they're probably looking at it from a business point of view as well. Like, YouTube Kids app is breeding kids for the future. You know, they're going to grow up to be YouTube consumers, right? They're not going to switch to cable. That's not going to happen. They want to keep them on the platform. So it's very wise of YouTube to take that part of their platform very seriously for the long run, I guess, which is why they'd be investing in there. So anyway, the fear mongering is using this number, this age of like 12 to 13, which is what the FTC classifies a child as. However, there is a clear difference between making content for children and making content that is family friendly, which is what my rep described my content as. I personally just don't like to use family friendly because it's kind of why I don't like any labels. Is if you want to describe me, describe it in your own words, like what this is, this live stream. That's better than just saying family friendly, because we talk about all sorts of stuff here that someone else might think isn't family friendly. So it's better if that gets articulated. So the content that we're creating here is, you know, family friendly, but the fear is that if anyone who's under the age of 12 or 13 or whatever the number is tunes into your content, then that makes you in violation of FTC rules, and therefore your content isn't going to be monetizable. You know, all of these nasty changes to YouTube backfiring on content creators is going to happen, and this is what these fear-mongering channels are kind of doing, right? Now, my rep did a great job of explaining this to me. If you have, like, television, right, late night shows can have more mature adverts for more mature content. If a child tunes in and watches it, which they could do, they could turn on the telly late at night, maybe the parents don't know, maybe the parents don't care, but, like, a child can end up watching that. If a child watches it, they are not in violation of FTC rules for creating that kind of content. Now, what I'm going to be able to do is self-certify, and the self-certification is going to help algorithms inside of YouTube determine what content is made for children and what content is not. So I am not making content that is aimed at children. There's no toys. We're talking about proper topics. You know, it's not fluffy images and music, and you know what I'm talking about, right? That means that technically I'm going to be in the clear, and I'm going to be self-certifying, and eventually the algorithms will hopefully catch up and understand the difference between content that is aimed at children and then content that is family friendly. My rep used a cool example of like the Great British Break Off as something everyone can watch because everyone appreciates food and you can watch it together as a family. However, it's not actually aimed at just children, right? In that context, I really understood what he meant. This means this whole big scare thing around lots of channels, like, you know, losing monetization and stuff over it, it's really just fear-mongering. And it kind of made me lose a little bit of respect for those content creators, because I've watched them for quite some time. I feel like they give out good information, but this time I really feel like they missed the mark and were perhaps cashing in on the fear for views. I mean, I don't want to speculate too much. This is also why I didn't name anyone as well, right? So there it is. So anyway, the big deal with the FTC thing is basically it's probably not going to affect a server like Hermitcraft, where there might have been some concerns that it would. So that put my mind at ease. I was thinking when January rolls around, YouTube might have its whole platform turned upside down for a while, and maybe there'll be some growing pains as they figure stuff out, but it looks like, Hermitcraft's going to be good, and of course my channel for the future.